Hello everyone, myself Aditya from Team LT4. Today we will going to discuss this project student fee management system. Let's see how our code will proceed. First, there will there is a display which will open which will take the values of username and password. If our username or password is wrong, then it will say invalid username or password. If our username and password both are correct, then it will open a new window where it will take the value of entry number of any student. If this entry number exists, then it will calculate the pending amount and fine of that student, and it will display to us the personal data, transaction history, and pending amount plus penalty. It will add to them and show to us. We can also add new transactions for the next semesters, and we can define the penalty and deadline for that also. If the entry number doesn't exist, it will create a new student. We can give the input personal details for that, and when we press that add button, then it will create a new file with entry number.py. Now let's see the code. First we have to import a library function tkinter. Then we have to import the image to this tkinter. To our code we have to import another function named pil. Now there is a file named admin. This admin contains the value of username and password to access this whole window. Now we have first our default window. Its name is root is equal to tk. Now we have done root.geometry 1920 multiply by 180 to open this whole window when we run our code. This label one is used to write this Indian Institute of Technology Ropar name. With the we have decided the font size, and we have assigned the location where we have to put this name. Now in second thing, we have opened this for image Indian Institute of Technology Ropar logo PNG, and we have assigned it into logo. Then we will assign this image to a new variable image, and then it will assign location to this image by using this grid in row 1 and column 2. Now after that, we are leaving the space in the left side and right side. So to leave space in left side, we have done this label 2. This label 2 will leave a space in the column 1, column 0 and row 1. There is also a label 2 which will leave the space in right side with row 3, column 3. We have done this pad X to both of them to make our logo in the center. Now there is a new text which is admin axis with the font size 20, and its color is red, and we have assigned location is row is equal to 2 and column is equal to 2. Now there is a new text username which is was font size is 15, and we have assigned the location to it. Now there is another text password whose font size is also 15, and we have assigned it the location row 5 and column 1. To write the input of username and password, we have made two input 1 and input 2. Whatever we will write in front of username, it will get stored in a variable a, and whatever we will write in front of password, it will get stored in variable b. Now this will read this and take this input, and it will assign to a new variable c. Take the input of b, and it will assign to a new variable d. Now if our either username or password or both are incorrect, then it will say invalid username or password with color red, and the size is 14, and it is the location where it will show this invalid username or password. If our code is correct, then we will then it will open to a new window. If we run our code now, it will open to this. If we put a invalid username, like, then it will say invalid username or password. But if we put correct username, then it will open to a new window. where we can write the entry number and we will get the details. The next part will be explained by Anupam Krishna.
Thank you, Aditya. Okay, the next part is that when you enter the entry number, there is two possibility. If the entry number exists, it will show the details. Let it be. If the entry number doesn't exist, or if you want to create a new entry number, so it is the next part, creating data. Myself, Anupam Krishna, I am the second member of the group Alt4. So let's start with the creation of new data file. So this is the second window it appear. So when you put entry number which is not existed in the folder, suppose it is my entry number 2021 EEB 111154. Okay, I am searching this entry number. Student not found. So it is outputting that this entry number file is not existing in the folder. So if you want to create a new file, means new student, so add new student. The third window popped up. In this window, it is given to enter your name, entry number, gender, blood group, batch, department, and per annum salary. And if you add that, it will create a new file. Let me try. So I have filled my details. When I put add, the window closed. So we have to check whether the file is added or not. So we are going to log in again. Put my entry number 2021 EEB 1154. Yeah, they have added the new entry number. So my name, entry number, gender, blood group, batch, department, everything is displayed. Transaction history, since it is a new file, there is no transaction history. Pending is 0. Deadline is added as default date, which is the current day. Okay, let's look at the code. Take the input as entry number. Check whether the entry number is in the folder. We use import os is exist is equal to os.path.exist and the location of the file. So it will check whether this file exists or not. If it is not exist, it will run to create new file. In the code, like they print root 3 window. Root 3 window means the third window which pop up when you click add a new student. Okay, the window will pop up with the heading and the logo. So it will give a column to enter name, entry number, gender, blood group, batch, department, and salary. It is we use GUI to create the columns. Like we put each one as a label. We use label in GUI in root 3 window and put the text which we need to include, and we are creating the boxes. So when you enter the details and press on the button add, it will assign to each variable. B1 is the name of the student, B2 is the entry number, so on up to B7. So when you open a file which is not existing in the folder, it will create a new file and it will open. So when you put an entry number and open the file, it will create a new file in that entry number and it will open. We need to create a new variable deadline, and the deadline is date dot today, means the date of the current day is added as the deadline as default. We are appending all this thing to the file we created. And root 3 dot destroy. After clicking the add and assigning this much thing, close the window. So what if we don't want to create a new user? We want to show the details of the existing user. So when you put a correct entry number, if it exists, what will happen? I invite my friend Aditya Anil Tapse to explain that part. Thank you.
Hello everyone. My friend Anupam Krishna explained us if the entry doesn't exist, how to create a new student and enter its file. Now I'll explain how to display the details of a student that's already existing. So first we'll put the username and password. Now I'll put the entry number of a student that exists. This should show the details as well as the transaction history. Here we show the fees paid by him and the fees to be paid is equal. Therefore, the pending value is 0. Deadline is the last assigned deadline when the second semester fees was assigned. So this is the final output. This is the code. If the file exists, this is the it will be in the else condition. First, we'll open the files and then read the lines and store it in the variable k. We'll declare two arrays ESCSC and trans. ESCSC will store the student details, whereas trans will store the transaction details. For the first 8 line contains the personal details of the student. These will be stored using this for loop. The transaction details will be stored in the trans using this for loop. This will be required later. Now we'll display the label name in a row and display the first element of the array, the name, which is the first is at 0 index. Similarly, we'll display entry number, gender, blood group, batch, department, salary per annum. Now to display the transaction history, first we'll write transaction history in the color blue. We'll leave a line by putting space. Now to name the columns, we'll name them in the same row but in different columns: date, title, fees to be paid and fees paid. Now using a nested for loop, we can access each and every element of the trans. Here the trans is a 2D array. Therefore we can access so the first element of the 2D array consists of the date and so on. Therefore we will display it in a table. Now these are some functions that will be defined while adding a new entry. Now we will display the pending fees by the student. First we'll declare it as 0. Now we will take the difference between the fees paid and fees to be paid in each row and add it. Finally, we will get the fees that is not yet paid or paid in advance. That will be displayed in the label naming pending. Now, if the deadline has been passed, we will apply an penalty to the student, which is 100 rupees per day. To calculate it, we have defined the function penalty. So this is the code. Now I will explain the function penalty. We have defined another function inside the penalty function, which will convert the input from dd dash mm dash 4 times y into a continuous string of just dd mm and 4 times y. This is the function which will replace the dash with nothing and add this and return it to create into of the form dd mm 4 times y. Now we will after creation we will access today's date using the as we have imported the date from the library date time. We will calculate the difference between the dates and store it in the variable day. Now if the day there are we have passed some days after the deadline, this penalty will be 100 times the number of days passed, else the penalty will be 0. Now penalty will be only applied if the pending fees is there. If there is no pending fees, the penalty will not be applied. Therefore, if the pending fees is less than or equal to 0, penalty will be 0. Otherwise, the calculated penalty will be returned. Therefore, fine is calculated by calling the function penalty. Now, if the pending fees is 0, we'll put pending and print the pending which is calculated in green color as there is no penalties. Else, pending with penalty which will be printed in a red color. Now, deadline will be the 7th index 7th in the ASCSC array. It is already in the student file, therefore we will access it directly. Now this is a button through which we can add a new entry in the transaction history. It will be explained by my friend Abhishek Suresh. Thank you.
Well, the file of the student, this was already created. These are the current data which are showing. Now I am going to add some new things. Means I'm extending the deadline or adding the semester fee, and third semester fee and extending the deadline. So what I'm doing is like I will click add new entry, and it's like 30/05/2022, and the title is third semester fee, and fees to be paid be like 1 lakh, and fees paid is 0, and deadline is like uh, deadline is something 30/12/2022. So now I am adding it. So let me open it again. So you can see now like uh, the date at which the date at which he gave is 35/2022, the third semester fee, and fees to be paid is like 10,000, but he didn't pay the fee. So including also, since the deadline was like at 30/12/2022, means he paid before that, before uh, he paid much earlier, like 35 he paid. So uh, since there will be no penalty, so fees to be paid will be same as the pending. Thank you.